The Trump administration has announced plans to deploy federal officers to more U.S. cities. Officials say it's part of a plan to crack down on an uptick in violence, but some mayors are pushing back. Skyler Henry has the latest for us.
The White House is expanding a program called Operation Legend, with plans to surge federal law enforcement to Chicago, Albuquerque, and Kansas City, Missouri to combat crime.
And we will use federal law enforcement to vigorously charge federal crimes and support these besieged communities to the greatest extent possible. This will be hard, painstaking work.
Tuesday, at least 15 people were shot and wounded while attending a funeral in Chicago, where gun violence has increased dramatically compared to this time last year.
Picking up a gun that solves nothing but causes so much lifelong pain.
This week, Chicago's mayor, along with several mayors of other major U.S. cities, sent a letter to the Trump administration demanding the withdrawal of federal forces, calling it an abuse of power. Federal agents have been in Portland, Oregon for more than 50 days amid ongoing attacks on federal buildings. But they have clashed with demonstrators after dark, and protesters say they're being snatched off the streets.
This is a democracy, not a dictatorship. We cannot have secret police abducting people.
The Trump administration says it does not need permission from local officials to assist local law enforcement, but members of Congress are calling for investigations into the program.
And Skyler Henry joins us now from the White House. Skyler, good to have you. Can you talk a little bit about what agencies these officers will be deploying from, and are they trained to deal with local communities?
Well, hey, Lana, good evening to you. Well, we'll see officers from the FBI, the DEA, U.S. Marshals, and even Homeland Security step into these cities, Albuquerque, Kansas City, and Chicago, that we've heard from, and at least from the president and from Attorney General William Barr here. Now, as for if they're properly trained or not, well, the mayors of these cities and others sent a letter to the president yesterday saying that they fear as though these federal officers will actually not be prepared to deal with things like urban community policing, also de-escalation training, and also trying to figure out how to bring down crowds and things like that. And you know, given the recent weeks and events of things that have happened across the country here, seeing these federal officers will, quite frankly, probably incite certain situations. And so they fear as though these officers will only hurt the situations and not help the situations going on across the country. But the Trump administration has said this: there needs to be a bigger police presence out there in order to curb the spike in violence that has been happening across the country. And so they are introducing Operation Legend. This is named after 4-year-old Legend Taliaferro, the 4-year-old who was killed in Kansas City because of gun violence. His mother was actually here speaking as part of a press conference earlier today, just saying just of the type of little boy that Legend Taliaferro was. And so the Trump administration is standing behind this, and they are saying that there needs to be bigger law enforcement presence here. They will work with local law enforcement in order to make this happen. But again, we'll see agents from across several different agencies sweep into these cities. We also heard that there are already 200 law enforcement officers already in Kansas City alone. And Attorney General William Barr did say that it is possible that more cities will be added to this list as crime continues to go up and the government sees fit.
Well, and we've also seen clashes in Portland, between demonstrators and DHS agents. There are also accusations that agents there have been taking people away in unmarked vehicles. We know that the White House and the administration has pushed back on some of that. I'm wondering, has the White House made any indication that the situation unfolding there will not take place in other cities, or that they intend to change anything about the way that the situation in Portland has gone down so far?
Well, it's kind of split, right? So we heard from the White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany yesterday, who said that what's happening in Portland is that federal courthouses are being attacked by protesters and being painted, and fireworks and other things are being launched towards these courthouses. And so these federal officers are going to be there to protect federal property. Now, in these other cities, I think there is a little bit of a difference, and that's where this is starting to become become more of a confrontation between these local mayors and between the Trump administration. We just heard from Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot about an hour ago, who said that what the president is doing right now is deferring from his failed leadership in terms of dealing with the coronavirus right now. She and several other mayors, including the mayor here in Washington, D.C., have all stepped up to say that they do not want law enforcement here doing what they feel as though has been done in Portland, again, because they feel as though what has happened in Portland will only send a ripple effect and only cause more problems than actually are there, though. But the president did say that they are standing by still for local officials to say that they need the government's help in order to step up and cut down on this crime, though. So it remains to be seen exactly what those relationships will be in terms of from the federal local law enforcement level, and then also from the local and state level in terms of how they deal with crime in and of itself. Now, Attorney General William Barr did say that what is happening with this Operation Legend is going to be some like a good old-fashioned police work, so to speak. They also did mention that there's going to be a $61 million in grant money from the Department of Justice that will go to hiring more law enforcement officers to help deal with the crises that are happening across the country here. And so I think just how severe or how intense these law enforcement officers will be in terms of defending federal property, in terms of trying to get down or cut down violent crimes happening across the country, that remains to be seen, though, Lana.
All right, Skyler Henry, thank you.
All right, Lana, thanks.